Hello everybody, I hope you're doing fine. This is Mika and today we're going to be talking about hippie movement and the counterculture. So, as you know, the 1960s was a decade characterized by movement and change, with the constant agitation for equal opportunities sparking many forms of upheaval. The war in Vietnam, for example, mobilized a nationwide student movement that believed it was the democratic responsibility of citizens to learn about and speak out on issues of national importance. Teach-ins were organized, and many anti-war marches thrust youngsters onto the streets to protest against the war. This was a time when young people got truly involved, becoming a highly visible and vital part of society. So, as potential consumers, young people exercised tremendous cultural authority. Their music and styles, for example, drove American popular culture in the late 1960s. However, among the youth, there were some who hoped to turn youth rebellion into something more than a consumer-based lifestyle, rejecting what they saw as hypocritical middle-class values. This is how a counterculture movement, liberated from competitive materialism and celebrating the legitimacy of pleasure, was born. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and make love, not war, became some of the mantras that identified this group of people. Hippies were a largely white, middle-class group of teenagers and 20-somethings who belonged to the famous baby boom generation. They developed a distinctive lifestyle, experimenting with communal or cooperative living arrangements, practicing holistic medicine, and often adopting vegetarian diets. But perhaps the most distinctive feature of the hippies, however, is that they felt alienated from the society they were born in, seeing it as dominated by materialism and repression. Let's talk about their style. If I were to ask you to describe a hippie for me, I am sure it wouldn't take long for you to picture one in your head, as their characteristic looks are very well known. Long hair, casual and unconventional clothes, psychedelic colors, sandals, beards, granny glasses, the list could go on and on. Shirts and ties disappeared completely. The same for bras, and older people started to complain about how difficult it was to tell the boys from the girls. Another characteristic trait of hippies is that they advocated nonviolence and love. They were even sometimes called flower children because of that. They promoted openness and tolerance as alternatives to the restrictions they saw in middle-class society. Hippies often practiced open sexual relationships and lived in various types of family groups. They had a free love philosophy, and some embraced a truly promiscuous sexuality, which of course was outrageous for that time. Premarital sex no longer destroying a woman's reputation, and even couples living together without the benefit of marriage, in between inverted commas, were some of the cultural changes brought by in relation to attitudes towards sex. Hippies also promoted the recreational use of hallucinogenic drugs in so-called head trips, justifying the practice as a way of expanding consciousness. But what about society's attitudes towards hippies? Well, adults were confused and often angered by the behavior of the youth. Let's remember that the older generation had grown up in the hard decades of depression and war, many of whom saw middle-class respectability as crucial to success and stability. Of course, the hippie movement was out of their understanding. All right, time to reflect. Let's think together. So, first, we said hippies belonged to the baby boom generation, taking into consideration everything we know about this demographical group. What aspects of society do you think they found repressive and materialistic? And number two, the saying, make love, not war, characterized the age of Aquarius, which was a name given to this time. So, what was going on in the US and around the world that might have inspired the coinage of this phrase? What do you think? Perhaps you can pause the video in order to think a little bit. Okay, very good. So, people, thanks for your attention. If you want more information on this topic, you can consult People and a Nation, Outline of US History, and the Encyclopedia Britannica. See you.